BitSwap is the hottest new way to trade tokens. Crawling all the top decentralized exchanges, BitSwap will get you the very best price and value for your trades. BitSwap is changing the game. Try it now at bitswapdex.com.
Welcome to Rice TVX and the latest episode of the Rice Crypto Show. Today's guest is NFT artist Jeremy Ryan, aka NFT Demon. He is the largest selling artist on Binance Smart Chaain. And today's conversation is about all things non-fungible tokens. Before we get into it, make sure you visit ricecrypto.crypto and sign up for my mailing list so you never miss an update or new Rice TVX content. Plus, you can find my social media links, contact information, get Rice TVX merch coming soon via the shop, and more. If this is your first time ever watching any of my videos, check out and explore my channels. Make sure you subscribe to Rice TVX and Rice TVX2. Both can be found on YouTube. And hit the notification bell to get alerted to new videos. Also, you can follow me on Odyssey and Library, where I have my full catalog of videos plus extra content. And you can also find Rice TVX on BitChute. If you want to support Rice TVX and what I do directly, I have my PayPal, Cash App, plus my cryptocurrency addresses via my Cointree link below in the video description. You can also join my Patreon channel, where you will get early access to some of my videos, exclusive content, and more, with 4 different levels of membership, all offering something different. If you are looking to purchase and invest in precious metals, gold and silver are both good safe haven assets to hedge against the financial collapse we are experiencing. Check out Money Metals Exchange. I partnered up with them and you can get a free half ounce of silver. Visit moneymetals.com, be a first time buyer, purchase a minimum of $100, and use the promo code RICE. You get a free half ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel. I will include links down below in the video description for everything I just mentioned, as well as everything that we talk about on today's show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, joining me on today's show is an NFT artist in the cryptocurrency space. I met him recently, actually several times recently, in Miami, Florida for some cryptocurrency conferences. I am joined by Mr. Jeremy Ryan, who is also known as the NFT Demon. He is the largest selling artist on Binance Smart Chaain. He's an interesting character. I wanted to invite him on the show to get to know him a little bit better and talk about his project. So, Jeremy, welcome to the show. How's it going, man?
Thank you. It's going good. Nice being here, and thanks for having me on.
No problem, man. And I'm definitely looking forward to the conversation. So, to give a little bit of backstory, I went to Miami, Florida. People know I've been there several times over the past few months. But I saw you for the first time middle of November at Miami Crypto Experience. We were outside smoking cigarettes and had a couple conversations, and then met you again over at the end of November, beginning of December for Decentral Con, which was NFT and DeFi based. That's where you met with the Bitcoin Latinum project, which we'll get into. And then I saw you for a third time recently when I went for North American Bitcoin Conference and came home sick. Came home sick with COVID. So had to take a little break from that, and then just now getting back into things. And one of the things I wanted to compliment you on, if I didn't have a chance to in person, is your business card. I'm not going to show the back of it, but really cool metal card for the NFT Demon. I'm digging it.
Oh yeah, and the sides work as grinders too, on the fly if you ever need to grind down some weed.
Okay, that's a cool idea. I didn't even think about that. But I do like those kind of like cut out edges. It makes the business card look really cool. I want to get something similar to this. Can't copy your style, but I got to get something similar.
Yeah.
So before we talk about your NFTs, and we'll have links down below for everything that I screen shared today. kind of give a little background about who you are and how you got involved in crypto, if you don't
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. So I actually grew up very poor when I wasn't poor, homeless. So I grew up in the mix between homeless and extreme poverty.
As a
And
child?
yeah, as a child,
Okay.
and wanted to get out of that, obviously, as a teenager. And so I started doing different little side businesses as a teenager, and started working full time at like 14, and then using that money to try to do little side businesses. Um, some of that worked, some of it didn't. I built up a cell phone business that actually did very well and was operating internationally. And then the IRS came and said that I hadn't been paying taxes. And one thing that a lot of people don't know is that when businesses owe taxes, and like they just flagrantly disregard taxes when they come at you, interest accrues daily. And so what could have been $100,000 could very easily become over $1 million in a very short period of time, because every single day you're getting hit with interest on that. And so basically they come at you and they say you owe us a crap ton of money, all these millions of dollars, and then you settle for almost everything you have. So I became homeless again, and then started working a job, and built up a cell phone business, or another cell phone business, which was doing white hat hacking of Android phones. Built that up pretty well. And then I also did political activism. So mainly First and Fourth Amendment rights stuff. People would often confuse my message or confuse why I was there, but it was mainly to make sure that the police were following the proper protocols and obeying people's rights.
Hmm.
And if I saw rights being violated, then I would very publicly and very consistently get arrested for whatever I wasn't supposed to be arrested for. I have 52 arrests in Wisconsin that have all been dismissed because they were unlawful to begin with.
Wow.
Um, yeah, but unfortunately, I also ran for Congress twice in Wisconsin for Paul Ryan's seat. And the first time it was Ryan versus Ryan. So I forced him to spend $750,000 in a primary he was supposed to spend nothing. And I was fought by both parties. So to tell you to give a little bit of my stances, both parties hate me. I hate both parties, both major parties. And I was trying to run on a platform of focusing on issues that over 75% of the population supported, things like legalizing cannabis, ending Citizens United, you know, things that everybody pretty much, most people on both sides support. Um,
Right.
and they don't like it when you start talking about that stuff because it doesn't bring in money that the divisive issues do. But then the FBI came at me. Unfortunately, I had many years of untreated depression, and which is now treated, and I now do very well. Sometimes you need a little bit of medication to help, rebalance whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
no, there's such things as like chemical imbalances, and there are definitely a need for medications at times. But obviously, I think in our medical system, they try to give a pill for every problem, and that's not always the best solution. But
it's definitely overused, and especially in psychiatric, I
right,
think it's overused. But psychiatric, if you think about it, is the only field of medicine that has no physical proof behind it. There's some conditions in certain fields that you can't physically prove one way or another. But if you think every other field of medicine, the actual field, most of those conditions can be physically proven through an MRI or through some sort of test of one way or another. Like cardiology, most cardiac conditions can be proven physically through some sort of test, or urology or whatever, any type. And so, but there really are these problems, and I didn't know until after I had been after I was knee deep in a nuclear terrorism case. So what the FBI did was they came and offered me a radioactive poison. And the interesting part about it is they sold it based off of the qualities that I would want um, in a poison to take my life. One being that it's completely harmless. You can't make a bomb out of it. It's completely harmless unless it's ingested or inhaled. So what that told me was like you have to physically want to hurt somebody with this stuff for it to be harmful. Um, that was a necessary component to me for any sort of whatever, any sort of suicide plot or whatever. And the other thing was that it would naturally look like the end stages of cancer. And I had been through multiple levels of cancer and had just gone into remission from the most recent battle, which had spread from the leg to the lung to the brain. And so through experimental treatment overseas, I was actually treated and was able to survive what I haven't heard of anyone, and the doctors in the US haven't heard of anyone surviving before. And so, so that brought on, interestingly enough, when your whole life you're basically, or when for like 4 years, you're basically just like waiting to die, it brings on a whole wide range of emotions when you realize that, like, hey, wait, now this isn't, a foregone conclusion anymore. And so the FBI sees the opportunity, offered me this poison that would look like the cancer, or at least the end stages of cancer, or the treatment had killed me, and that would be completely harmless to anybody, because unless I wanted it to be. And so then they arrested me when I picked up the package that they had sold me, and they charged me with nuclear terrorism. And even though in all of the emails it's very clear what the intent was, they claimed that they didn't know who it was for, and they spent countless amounts of money trying to find some sort of case they could fabricate. So they were trying to find, they interviewed dozens of friends, probably hundreds, and we're trying to find, like, oh, he's having beef with this person. So, like, we're going to say he was trying to take this person out. They tried to move backwards. And even my federal attorney was like, I have never seen a case like this where they like arrest first and then investigate backwards. We had FBI experts that were willing to testify that, like, this is just not something that they do, that they had never seen or heard of anything, that any case that had been done like this. But it took 16 months out of my life. So I was back to square one. I had lost everything again, and now I had beaten all the terrorism charges. So they didn't get me with a terrorism charge because I'm not a terrorist, and I have no terroristic intent. If I want to fight somebody, I don't do it physically; I do it mentally. And so I'm not a person that you want as an adversary, but not because you would fear for your life or your safety, but because you would fear that I was intelligent enough to find a way to get under your skin. And that would be worse than had I punched you or beat your ass or something,
Right. Maybe
And-
it's good that you're on medication, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's always good you're on medication. I mean, if you do truly have an issue.
Right.
And I feel I can truly say, I haven't had any suicidal thoughts on the medication, whereas they were a regular thing. This wasn't a one-time thing. This was something, suicidal thoughts was something I had been dealing with for many, many, many years.
Well,
And,
I mean,
I'm open about it. But
considering what you said, though, about your upbringing and stuff, I mean, I can understand where that kind of trauma, how it could be underlying and how it could have a lot of subliminal and then obvious effects. So I get it, man. I didn't grow up in quite an extreme situation where it was kind of extreme poverty and or homelessness. I just dealt with just poverty more than anything, and a kind of a mentally abusive mother. And then as an adult, I went through some stuff where during a time period I chose to be homeless because I was going to be going to prison. I didn't want to rent an apartment or rent a room or anything like that from anybody for this short amount of time I was looking at before I was going to be going to prison. That got extended out. So I mean, I got to experience some of these things. So I can relate to, some of these things that you're talking about. And I know you did an interview with Amina Motala, which I'll have a link down for that one. I haven't had a chance to check it out, and I'm wanted to make this conversation more organic by not checking it out as well.
It's also on my site, so people can go to the media link on my website.
Okay.
And then once your link is up, yours will be on there too.
Cool.
I haven't gotten quite to the point of screenshotting. There's no way to like just put the link and then it posts like a screen. So I got a screenshot and then post it in. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but you can see the people that I've done interviews with so far, and you can see the links to those on the media page.
Is that on the next page, or where can that
Or
be found?
there should be a menu somewhere, or maybe you might have to hit enter portfolio, or up there. It might be up there.
At the very bottom is your social media
Or you might
links.
have to hit enter portfolio.
Okay. Once you get the portfolio, it takes you here.
Upward should be a menu. Maybe where it says NFT Demon. Maybe that's a menu. Oh no.
Let's see here.
That's really weird.
It's all right. We'll figure it out. Oh, here it is. It's over on the far right hand side. My collections, about me, and media.
Yeah, and then the media. The media is the tab where you'll find the interview with Amina.
So she told me a little bit about some of your story, but I told her to kind of hold off because I wanted to basically learn a little bit about it myself organically. So how does all this transpire into you getting involved in crypto?
Yeah, so after 16 months in federal custody, I was sitting pretty decent before, but after that, it takes a taxing toll on everything. So I was back to square one again, and then I ended up trying to do some cell phone related stuff again, and so I did that for a little while, and then but I was also on federal probation, and then the new wave of protests started, and so at that point I ended up showing up, documenting what was going on over there in Madison, Wisconsin, and then one of the protesters was violently, extremely violently arrested without any explanation. It was all on video, and they weren't explaining to him at all why they were arresting him, and it was over something pretty petty, and so that caused a bit of an uproar. He was thrown in segregation, and so something about him being thrown in segregation just really hit me, and because I was thrown in segregation unfairly and unjustifiably when I was in the jail. And so I called the sheriff on his cell phone because I was very well known at the time for doxing people and being able to, get people's information pretty easily. So I called the sheriff on his cell phone and I gave him 4 hours to release the guy from segregation. Otherwise, I would release his information, something that should be completely legal, and hold a protest outside his house. Well, literally at the 4-hour mark, I had the post ready to hit send. I called for a peaceful protest, made sure to say, I want this to be peaceful, no destruction, no violence. And the history of protests at the time in Madison, the vast majority of them had followed that, had been peaceful. And so I so I called for a protest outside his house, and the next day I was arrested. So then I did 3 months waiting for bail on that. And I'm still on bail on that. I have trial for that case in March. But I was waiting for bail, and then I was released again. And again, I had nothing because now I had just lost 3 months after 16 months. So I'm in even worse shape. So all of my lawyers told me you have to move out to the West Coast. They said the feds and the police out here are going to continue hitting you with bullshit charges and bullshit cases. They can't do that out west because the Ninth Circuit won't allow it. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals won't allow it. So they said you have to move out west if you want to have any shot of being, basically being genuine, or any shot of standing up for your rights. You got to move out to the West Coast. So I moved to Portland, and in the process, right before moving to Portland, or a while before, Safe Moon was having its come up. So Safe Moon was coming up. I got in Safe Moon like day 4 or 5. So I got a really good position in Safe Moon. I sold at the peak. I put in like 20 or $50, but I sold out at 5,000. So that was a pretty major come up. But
Was that the first time you got involved in crypto was buying SafeMoon?
well, I had bought Bitcoin way back in the day, back when like 1,000 Bitcoin was like $10 or something. Back when the dude was buying Bitcoin with pizza, like the early days. But that was because I was always into technology, and so I bought it as a joke. I mean, let's be honest, Bitcoin was kind of the first tech meme. It really was, because it was a joke. That's what it was back then. You would buy it as a joke. Almost nobody who bought Bitcoin back in the like way early days bought it as a serious investment. There's some people who claim they did now, but I still don't think they do. I think they bought it as a joke. It was a joke. That's what it was, back in the way beginning. And so I bought like some thousands of Bitcoin for like $10 way back in the day. And, like an idiot, just because I thought it was a joke, lost the wallet, because I wasn't really paying too much attention to it. And so that Bitcoin will never be able to be spent or used.
That sucks.
But outside of that, I didn't really get into crypto at all, other than a little bit of here and there on Robinhood. But outside of that, I didn't really get into crypto until SafeMoon, and SafeMoon opened me up to BSC and all the BSC tokens. And at that time, BSC tokens were really they were really going great. And so I started running tokens. I just got a person who could do the technical aspect, and I started running tokens, and I saw the effect that simply never screwing anybody over had. So if you kept running tokens back then and you never screwed anybody over, it wouldn't matter whether they boomed or whether they didn't boom. Everyone would love you. And so I developed a following within BSC.
Now, what do you mean by running tokens?
So like just being the face of the token.
Okay.
Because I wasn't usually the face is the same person as the technical person who programmed it. But so the term dev, when it applies to BSC and when it applies to shitcoins, it's a very flexible term. So I would have been considered the dev because I'm the whole face of the operation. Nobody knows the tech guy except me. But he's also somebody that I knew for a long time and had trusted.
So you were kind of the face of the project, helping with marketing.
I was called the dev, but yeah, I was the one running the operations of the project, running the Telegram, running the decisions, all of that. And running the marketing wallet, which is a very important part of it. And so people would see that, like I wasn't screwing people over. I was spending the marketing money. Anything that I would get out of it would come from the LP. So it wouldn't even come from the tokens. But there were no secret wallets selling massive amounts of tokens that, it's hard to tell where they came from. That type of stuff never happened in any of my projects. And so I developed kind of a following, and which led to Jail Doge, which was which hit $500,000. I mean, I normally did micro caps. So these would be tokens that would start out at like $800 market cap. And so, if it hit 40,000, that was massive. Because it started out
Yeah.
at 800, and the first group of the first group of people, the ones that were always able to begin, were getting in at like $1,000, $2,000. So that was just amazing. If it hit 40,000. Jail Doge was a bigger project with a pre-sale and all of that, and that one hit 500,000 and then got dumped. And so all of the pre-salers just dumped. And at that point, I realized that because I was actually trying to run something pretty decent with Jail Doge. I had my driver's license on the website, and I was trying to change the whole stand. I mean, obviously my license number and stuff were crossed out.
Well, I was going to ask
But,
you,
yeah.
since you're bringing this up, I got to see your ID, your license, and you legally changed your middle name.
Yeah, actually, you could pull up jaildoge.net right now. I believe the website is still up, and I believe it has the picture of the updated website.
Spelled just like it sounds?
Yeah, jaildoge. Yeah,
Okay.
.net.
All right.
Or I think it's .net though.
Oh, .net. Okay, my bad. And I'm not recommending anybody get involved in this project.
No. Do not invest in Jail Doge. Do not invest in Jail Doge because
net.
Yeah. Because the project is dead. And so we're just waiting. The LP was locked for a whole year. And so we're just waiting on that to unlock. But the project's dead. It doesn't even have a Telegram anymore. But if you go down,
where it says doxed and arrested. So here is Jeremy Ryan's middle name, and it's NOFUCKS, all one words, no fucks.
Yep, that is my legal middle name.
Jeremy No Fucks Ryan, aka the NFT Demon.
Yeah, and I mean, it's like I got like all these layers of crazy ass stories. That is, but that I've just had to give no fucks in order to.
I get it, dude. No, I get it. I get it. It's hilarious.
It's become a persona, but yeah, it's also it's also interesting to see as far as so then tokens had collapsed. I forgot where we were at with this.
No, you're good. So when did you make the jump to NFTs? And I want to clarify too that when we talk about the largest selling artist on Binance Smart Chain, that we're talking about number of minted and how huge the collections are, not necessarily the top selling artist via Binance BSC or BNB or sales. It's based off of volume, which you have a lot of volume, which we'll share throughout the collections.
Yeah, you can't really go off of sales because you have like Axie Infinity and TCG World, which are like, and you got like metaverse properties that are, doing millions of dollars. Like TCG World is doing millions of dollars in sales, but that's for metaverse property NFTs. But if you're doing, so it's just and GameFi projects can bring in millions of dollars, but it's a totally different thing. For generative artists, though, I'm probably up there as far as sales go, if not the top, as far as generative collections go. And I definitely have by far the most collections out there and available.
So when did you make the jump from doing being a face and doing the marketing for coins and tokens to actually doing NFTs?
So yeah, that was after Jail Doge. When Jail Doge collapsed, I was like, I was really pissed because I was like, I'm actually trying to do something with this. I'm trying to set a whole new standard for the whole industry, and the coin is just getting dumped. But that was just everything back then, and I realized that probably wasn't going to change anytime soon in the BSC space. So then I started looking at where else to go from there, and I just naturally made the shift to NFTs. I saw, and the interesting part is people may think that I went to BSC just because I had previously been in BSC, but that wasn't actually the reason why I chose BSC. The reason why I chose BSC to get into was because BSC only had less than a dozen collections that had been minted out, or like less than 10 collections that had been minted out completely, of any significant size. And there's still less than like a dozen that have been minted out of any significant size on BSC. So I knew and I saw how early BSC was, but they had the marketplaces built up. They had the name. They had they're already the top chain for shitcoins. And so, you have that. And so it's only a matter of time. I saw how early it was.
And that's actually a good move. I mean, I have no problem when people have choice and decide to go whatever route based off their research. I'm not a huge fan of Binance Smart Chain just because of the centralization, but that's what allows for, I think, the cheaper transaction fees, which makes it better to be able to make, sell, buy, trade NFTs. Because when we're dealing with like the Ethereum blockchain, the fees have just been so crazy. So you haven't done anything on Ethereum or Solana or any other different blockchains that offer NFTs like Wax. Is that correct? You've only done stuff on Binance Smart Chain so far?
Yeah, not yet, but I soon will be. So for the Bitcoin Latinum collection, that's finally been closed, so everything's good to go there. It took a few months, but we're finally where we need to be, and now it's just at a point of figuring out who the best celebrities are, to be honest, to get behind this collection. We're going big and we're going hard with this, because it's going to be the first. It's going to be the first collection of multiple thousands that's available exclusively with Bitcoin or Bitcoin Latinum. So
yeah, let's make sure that we're being very clear, because I did do a video review on Bitcoin Latinum, and aside from them adding Bitcoin to the name, there's really nothing to do with Bitcoin itself. So it's a completely different blockchain. It's not a fork of it. I just don't want people to get that confusion and think that there's NFTs on Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, and there's through side chains and through these like side processes, there are somewhat there's somewhat
right
NFTs on Bitcoin, but not really with so yeah, and that's well, we were actually gonna launch directly on Bitcoin, but there's no development framework to do that
right. No, I feel you.
at the moment, and so. But it will be the first collection available exclusively through Bitcoin or Bitcoin Latinum, and
are the NFTs ready to go for Bitcoin Latinum, or are they still kind of in the process? They are ready.
No, yep, the NFTs are all ready to go. Everything's all ready. It's just a matter of programming and a matter of figuring out really just who best and how best to promote this.
Right.
And because Bitcoin Latinum, they go hard when it comes to promotion. That's one thing, regardless of what you can say about them. If you have any familiarity with them whatsoever, they are not. They don't go cheap. They go hard, and they go big, and they go hard.
They were a big sponsor at DecentralCon, one of the main sponsors. So,
and then
their marketing, what they did with content creators, with marketing and sponsored videos and such. So, I mean, they definitely have a good team behind them, 100%. I'm not going. That's why I ultimately ended up doing a review on the project. But now before we get into like what you're going to do with the Bitcoin Latinum stuff. So I want people to know if they're checking out your links, that right underneath of each one of the pictures and description about the collection, because you have them in order that you've done them. There's the most popular marketplaces where you can obtain some of these various NFTs on Binance Smart Chain, which would include the Cartel Punks. You have the Badass Doggos, the Zombie BNB, then Baby Floki Doge. All these Floki Baby Doge Enus. It's getting
that one was commissioned.
Catboy NFT, was this commissioned, or do you have a thing for Catboys?
No, yeah. So when you're going through my website, so the ones that have the marketplace links, those are the projects that I run. The ones that don't, those ones were commissioned. And
Okay.
unfortunately for both of the commissioned projects, they're kind of, the tokens are kind of dead right now. And
Which was the
so
other commission project besides this one?
Zombie BNB, but that
Zombie.
doesn't have
Okay.
any links at all. And
Okay.
I'm probably going to end up removing the links from the Baby Floki Doge one, right? Pretty soon, because that one, but it doesn't have the marketplace links. So I intentionally only included the marketplace links in the collections that I'm also running.
Okay.
So as of right now, if you see the marketplace links, then you know that that's a collection that I run. If you go into the Telegram, then the admin, you know, is going to be me. And so, and you know, people are free to contact me too, through social media or through Telegram or through whatever. I'm usually readily available.
Cool.
I have my personal Facebook connected to the website, so you know, it's not. That's been.
Did you do like any artwork like prior to crypto and NFTs?
No, and see, so that's the interesting thing is I had never prior to crypto and NFTs, I had never had any sort of, and I didn't even do that header image that's on my Facebook page. But prior to crypto and NFTs, I had never had any sort of artistic background or artistic talent per se that I knew of. I had a knack for business. I was very good at marketing, very good at promotion, and I was very politically involved, but I hadn't had any sort of artistic leanings. And I'm not sure. I don't think I had any artistic ability, to be honest with you. I don't think the artistic ability came until after my fourth round of cancer, when I had gone through so much brain radiation that, you know, I think some whatever force shifted in my brain, and I ended up getting somewhat of an artistic ability that I hadn't had before, particularly for digital art. And so, so yeah, I mean, I think that the brain cancer actually gave me my artistic ability, as crazy as that sounds.
Or unlock something that you didn't have before?
Yeah, or just yeah, or maybe took away some inhibitions or whatever. When you go through, I did 4 years of brain radiation, and so when you go through that long, plus whatever experimental shit that I ended up getting, you know, when you go through all of that stuff, all sorts of different changes and things can happen. But in this case, I would say it was definitely a good one.
Yeah, I feel bad still when I was saying something about, I think you missed a couple spots on your head when you were shaving it, and you were talking about that's where you had some surgery and stuff done.
Oh yeah, that's where the radiation hadn't completely killed. But yeah, it's but now I don't even get offended when people say stuff like that. It's a lot of people think it's a tattoo actually. So a lot of people are like, "Oh, dope tattoo on your head," and I'm like, it doesn't even like. They're just
No, I
saying.
definitely didn't. I just thought you just could that you missed, because I've seen people who shave their heads that have missed spots, and I'm always that guy who's like, hey, you missed a spot.
It does look like you missed. It does look like it, yeah. And it looks like you missed a few spots because there's a few small little spots too. But yeah, it's but I'm probably gonna end up going through like laser hair removal or something just to remove that, so I don't have to shave it just for convenience.
That makes sense.
Because the rest of it's not gonna grow back. When you go through chemo, it grows back. You know, after you stop the treatment. When you go through radiation, it may or may not, but depending upon how much radiation you got, I got enough to completely, you know, there's no chance it's ever going to grow back with any thickness.
That sucks.
It could grow back as baby hair, you know, but that's it. But I mean, I don't really mind being bald. I'd just rather just do like laser hair removal or something though for that small spot, so I don't even have to worry about shaving or caring
Let me
about
know
it.
how that goes.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it'll be pretty painful.
I'm sure it's not going to feel great.
But it's a
Okay,
small
so
spot.
are you going to be continuing on making different projects on Binance Smart Chain, or are you going to continue branching out like with Bitcoin Latinum and beyond?
So what I'm doing mostly now is commission collections. So it's mostly people who are coming to me. I'm particular about my clients at this point. So you have to have a lot of money for marketing, and be willing to spend, a decent amount for marketing for me to do a collection, and have some sort of, decent backing. I have one that's coming out for Wonkly, as well, which is a meta social NFT site. Their token is currently valued at 150 million market cap, I think. But they're,
Wonkly.
yeah, WOONKLY
Okay.
.com. They're from Dubai, but they haven't really had a whole lot of promotion. So bringing this collection will bring some promotion too. But they take quite a while to get anything done. So all the deals have been signed and everything's set. It's just a matter of they'll probably take a while to actually get it pushed out. Whereas Latinum, I think, is looking to push things out fairly quickly here.
But you just recently finalized that deal, right?
Yeah, the Wonkly deal I finalized 4 weeks ago. But
Well,
yeah,
the Latinum deal, the Bitcoin
but yeah, the
Latinum
Latinum deal, yeah.
that
And
one
then
you just did just a few days ago.
yeah, that just finalized Monday actually. And so yeah,
And
so
just so
then
people know, we're recording this on it's Wednesday the 2nd of February, and it'll be coming out probably the beginning of next week. But it'll be on Patreon right after. So, as I was telling you, I try to make sure I'm putting up some content for early access on Patreon for people that choose to support me on that platform, and throw up a
yeah,
little extra content as well.
yeah, no, that makes sense. Thanks for your support.
Oh yeah, dude. I
I'll
mean,
get that.
like I was telling you when we finally like really had a chance to talk the third time. The first time I wasn't quite sure about what I thought about you. I told
Yeah,
you that just to be
yeah.
honest. But then after like hanging out with you the second and third time, a lot of that had changed. So I had 100% without going into like details misjudged, and unfortunately sometimes I do that and I catch myself and I try to be mindful of it so that I'm not doing it more in the future. That's kind of part of what my whole practice change stuff is all about. Because, but what I also have noticed is like something that rubs me in an odd way or necessarily not in a good way. I end up having a lot of admiration and connection with. So, I find that a lot of the bands that I have come to have a lot of love for a long period of time, but when I first heard them, I didn't like them. And then somehow some weird twist of fate happens and they become one of my favorite groups. So
I think a lot of it has to do with authenticity is hard to find these days. And
yeah,
so authenticity often rubs people the wrong way at first because it's just more unfamiliar. And so, when people meet somebody who's dynamic and authentic at the same time, it can often rub them the wrong way, I think, because it's just something, it's just different. You
well,
know?
and I think there's a lot of similarities too, and that sometimes can make people repel from one another if they're too alike in some ways.
Yeah, but then later you get to know the person. You get to know, like, hey, like this is cool, dude.
Yeah, and
Oh, okay.
that's why I wanted to take the opportunity to say, what, because we've had this conversation in person, but
Yeah,
I just wanted to share it with others because I try to be as transparent as possible. Because life is a learning process. We're always learning, and we do make mistakes. And I like to admit when I make mistakes and try to be mindful of them. And the more I talk about things like this publicly, the more it helps me, and the more hopefully it would inspire other people to interact in those same kind of ways. That makes sense.
yeah, no, that makes total sense. But yeah, it's been great. If anyone's going to ETH Denver, I'll be there. I don't think you'll be there, but
No.
and
What days is that on?
that's February 11th through the 21st. That's a
Okay,
whole
so that'll
10
be
days.
yeah, so if we release this on like the 7th or so, somewhere around the 7th, it'll be that following weekend. So if you're gonna be at ETH Denver, which is an
Yeah,
Ethereum based conference that is in Denver, ironically, you can meet Jeremy No Fucks Ryan there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have a face mask, but
So now, why are you going to an Ethereum conference? I mean, I understand why you went to some of the other ones because they were general conferences. You're doing networking, but are you planning on building on the Ethereum blockchain and some future projects?
I'm planning on feeling it out. But also, so the Ethereum Denver encompasses Ethereum, but it also encompasses layer twos, like Polygon and BSC and whatnot as
Would
well.
would BSC be considered in that?
Um, well, it
It's
probably would.
EVM compatible, but I wouldn't call it a layer. I wouldn't call it
Well,
BSC a
your
layer two,
your
unless it's layer
BSC
two from
address is your ETH address. Um,
yeah.
they're all the same addresses.
I never really thought of BSC that way.
But maybe I don't know what it
I could
precisely
be wrong.
qualifies as a layer, and I could be too. I don't know what precisely qualifies as a layer two and what doesn't. What I do know is that it does use the same addresses as ETH.
It is
So
a 0x.
yeah, well, no, it's the same exact address. So if you have like Trust Wallet, or if you have MetaMask or whatever, if you go and switch between BSC and Ethereum, you'll realize your address is literally the exact same.
Right. Well, you can have your BSC. You can have them all show up in your wallet and just pull up through and receive, and you'll see. Yeah,
Yeah,
which will
well,
be the same as your ERC20 address. It would be the same for your NFTs as well.
yeah, it's all the same address. Polygon is the same, and I
And
think
I knew it was. I knew. I just never really thought of it in that manner. That's an interesting concept. I mean, I know that Polygon specifically is supposed to be helpful to the Ethereum blockchain, where it's almost Binance Smart Chain is more of a bridge
yeah,
to Ethereum for Binance, when Binance itself is a blockchain that is very similar to Ethereum, but a little bit more centralized.
yeah, and I mean, so that's the but there's more than just ETH there. But I'm interested in launching wherever I can find the right team to launch with. And I even have like one or two projects generally on the side that haven't launched yet. This is just for, something like ETH Denver. If I find the right team over there that wants to launch a project, now we have the artwork ready. Now we can get right into launch mode. And during that whole week, potentially even mint out, So,
That'd be cool.
that's one thing that's on the back burner of my mind is for that collection is called Schnauzers and Trousers. And the story behind Schnauzers and Trousers is that when I was in jail, I've always been very high intelligence, so I have to try to think of things to occupy my mind. And one of those things was thinking of just weird, crazy things just to go ask the deputies for. And so I asked one of the deputies, Deputy Pribble, who was a very uptight man and still is, I'm sure, for a copy of Schnauzers and Trousers magazine. And he got very upset with me. And then I asked him again the next day, and he threatened to throw me in the hole if I asked him for Schnauzers and Trousers magazine again. And so after that, it just kind of became a running joke. And I asked for the magazine in the book request thing in the tablet, and got threatened with punishment for that as well. So I was like, one day I have to do something with Schnauzers and Trousers. And so I have the Schnauzers and Trousers collection ready to go. Maybe that'll be launched at ETH Denver. Maybe that'll be launched a later time. Who
That's
knows?
cool.
But
So, are you going to be updating things? Like, when it's the best place to keep up with like anything you're going to be doing? Is Twitter the best update place?
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'll post to all of those well in advance of an actual launch.
Okay.
So for like the Latinum and the Wonkly deal, I'll definitely be making posts leading up to launch. That's actually the collection, those aliens. That's the Wonkly collection.
This one right here.
Yeah, that's the one that they
They look like alien apes.
yeah, they're like mutant alien ape things, but they're pretty dope. And the level of art that went into them was pretty extensive. Um, but yeah, they're that's the best place now. I was never really on social media much before, but and I don't really do a whole lot But every time a collection's coming out, I'm sure to post on everything. And also when we have new press release, because Latinum, once we get everything figured out with what we're going to be doing, who we're going to be using and whatnot with the collections, then it's a matter of building up the hype. And so I'm definitely going to be doing that.
Yeah, this is really funny. I'm like listening as I'm giving you an opportunity to like talk about yourself, and you give this explanation of all this interesting things that have happened throughout your life. And you made it very simple right here on your About Me on your webpage, where you put is a man with a very colorful history. From political activism to false terrorism charges against the government, and even 2 runs for U.S. Congress, he has always been at the forefront. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, and NFTs are my new endeavor, but I've always, if you look at what I've done, agree, disagree, whatever. If you look at what I've done, I've always done it with passion. And I've always been all in. I don't have like a 75 or 85 or 65. It's either 0 or 100 with me. So you either get nothing or you get it all. I don't know how to like half-ass things or how to do it without going all in. And that has been a great strength and a great liability for me. I won't necessarily say weakness, but I'll say what liability henceforth.
And knowing is half the battle.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, I mean, I do commission collections mostly now. I don't think I'm going to do too many more collections that I run entirely myself, just because it's 4 is quite a bit, and it gets to be quite a lot. But the thing is, getting in now for the collections is a very good thing, in my opinion, to do, because you're getting in early, and I don't think that there's much of any way that my art doesn't take off. It doesn't take off more as things build, because I'm in the early days. Everybody who's establishing a name right now are the early pioneers, the titans of NFTs. Because 5 years from now, 2021, 2022, those mints will look like, those will be so rare. Because think of how many mint into think 2024. Think of how many mint NFTs will be minted, versus 2021 or 2020.
Well, and I don't say this in a negative way, but there's a lot of nonsense projects that are coming out that are NFT related. Not saying that about anything that you're doing.
Yeah.
But with that being said, like, I see the use case of NFTs beyond artwork and games, like anything that we deal with registrations, titles, licenses, those kind of things, deeds, replacing the concert industry, the ticket industry with NFTs. There is a countless possible. I mean, people can do. You could basically have an NFT for like a membership club, and by doing so you get various NFT drops because you're a member of this club, or you get to have these perks to go to these events, kind of like what the Bored Ape Yacht Club is doing, where they're actually doing some real utility versus it just being artwork. Because I think the artwork bubble will pop, and then what we'll see is as opposed to just so many different projects that don't have any value, I think we'll start seeing more projects that are of value, and it'll start weeding out all these projects that are just a cash grab, because there are a lot of cash grabs out there, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And really all you need is a community still, and you need the dev to still be active. That's why if you pop in any of my telegrams, and start talking, I'll start talking back. Pretty much any time of the day, any day of the week, and those are that's where it's going to be so easy when it comes time looking back to which ones have value from this time period and which ones don't, is going to be based off of who's active, who's been active, versus who just left the project and abandoned it. Because there are so many that do abandon the projects. But like Cartel Punks, for instance, that's been minted out for 3-4 months. And I'm still, if you go in the chat right now, you'll see I was just talking earlier this morning with somebody about some random stuff. I think we were talking about the floor price. I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but
no, it's all good, man.
But yeah, I'm always there.
I thoroughly enjoyed this chance of like getting to know you a little bit better and learning more about what you're doing with the NFTs and how you're expanding out beyond BSC and all that good stuff. So gonna have links for everything we talked about on today's show. I do appreciate you taking the time to do this. And if you could bear with me 1 second, it's gonna wrap up things on my end.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem, man. Ladies and gentlemen, I do appreciate you watching today's video. If you've gotten this far and you're not subscribed already, I would definitely encourage you to make sure you subscribe to Rice TVX and Rice TVX2, the backup channel. Both are on YouTube. Also, follow me on Odyssey and Library as well as BitChute. And I will end with this, as I like to end the videos always. I encourage you to be the change by practicing change.